We hit one. Oh my God, we're here live again. It's Ian from Equity Warehouse. I'm here with my man Jason Balin, Hard Money Bankers.
I didn't even know we were live already.
No, we're live. Look, we're already live. It's I'm not very good at this, but here we are. We're live. We're going to do a quick interview with Jason. Just want to quick come down, talk to Jason about who he is, what his company does, and talk about, is hard money better than institutional money, or is institutional money better than private money? What's the best?
I thought you were going to ask me, do people even still use hard money?
Yeah,
I thought that was the name of the game. Are people even using hard money?
We're eventually going to get to that. So why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Should I not jump into that right away?
We need some viewers first. We got one viewer. We're moving along.
Got it. Hey, what's up? I'm Jason Balin at Hard Money Bankers. Been running Hard Money Bankers for going on 11 years now in Columbia, Maryland. We got an office in Columbia. We got an office in the Philly area. So full service, localized lender. Don't be fooled with a lot of lenders out there these days that are national institutional backed lenders. Don't get me wrong, there's a value to them. It's just you need to make sure you fully understand if the lender you're working with is a private lender, hard money lender, or an institutional backed lender. And we're lending in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C. That's out of our local office here. And my partner Ian runs, not this Ian, another Ian, runs an office in Philly, and he handles Delaware, South Jersey, and the Philly area.
So you just dumped a ton of information there. And, for the newbies out there, you're talking about institutional money, you're talking about hard money, you're talking about all this different stuff. You're a hard money lender. I know the post is, do people still use hard money? You've been in business for several years now. So what's the advantage of hard money, or what's institutional money?
11 years.
11 years. So several, 11. Either way, what's the advantage to using hard money, say, over using a bank to do a real estate deal?
So there's typically two types of capital. There's private capital, which is what we use, our own money, private capital investors, local investors capital. So there's private, true private money. And obviously there's pros and cons of both of these. The big pro of private capital is it's localized. You can make all the rules. There's no red tape when it comes to the way that these loans are underwritten, the regulators or things like that. So if the deal makes sense, it makes sense. And I believe that's typically what most all old school hard money lenders are. And most hard money lenders still to this day, they're backed by private capital, where if the deal makes sense, you do it. The only one downfall, if you call it a downfall, is the cost is slightly more expensive. It's not extremely more expensive when you actually look at it, but it is a little bit more expensive because it's private capital. It's not it's not bank backed money.
Right, and we use both in our company. We use Jason. We use a few other hard money lenders locally, and private lenders. But we also use bank loans. And as Jason was saying, there is a bunch of red tape. Not a bunch, but it can be cumbersome to navigate the process of using a bank. And each situation dictates if it works for you or not. So over the past 11 years, you guys have been doing a lot of loans here locally. And you guys are starting to see, everybody is starting to see a little bit of a market shift with what's going on. How do you see your business and being able to go through what may or may not happen with this next, as prices are starting to retract or things are slowing down? Are you guys seeing anything crazy out there?
Yeah, I think on a broad level, we see stuff crazy. On a micro individual company level, we nimble and we can adjust based on what's going on. If you're the bigger institutions that are contingent on bank money, institutional money, Wall Street money, that whole business line, it all flows up to the top to the operators of what they can lend at and what their qualification process is at any given time. On our stuff, we can adjust as needed. And I'll give you an example. For instance, let's say we lend on a property that's $200,000 after repair value today, and we think it's going to be worth $210 tomorrow or $190 tomorrow or whatever it is. You adjust up or down based on that particular situation. So there's a lot more flexibility related to that. So I think on a broad level, there's a lot of stuff that's changing. I think we've felt that over the last 3 years we've been towards the top, and I've been wrong because it's continued to increase. But again, it's not something that I'm typically all that nervous about because I know that we have good infrastructure in place, and we have a good system in place that we could potentially adjust to whatever happens. And if we got to do loans, if we decide that 65 LTV is the right criteria, we have a business model that on the fly, effective tomorrow, we could lower it to 60 or 55, or if we wanted to go to 70, we could adjust to that. We have the system and the infrastructure in place.
So do you think, like everything you were talking about being local and being nimble, is that the advantage to being a local lender? I know some people, there's big national companies that lend hard money, and rates vary, but they're not local, and there's a lot of things that come with that. Do you think being a local lender allows you to be more nimble in the marketplace, or is it your business model of being a private lender, or is it a combination?
Both. I mean, think about this. Let's say you got an email today from somebody in California that has a property for sale. Would you or could you buy that property?
I probably wouldn't, because I don't have any market knowledge. But we could, yes. Could we buy the property?
Sure. I mean, I could lend in California. I choose not to because I don't know the market knowledge. Yeah. I mean, chances are if somebody, bought a property for $200,000, want to loan for $100,000, it's probably some sort of a safe investment. But it's the same thing. I can't lend in areas that I don't know. We're not 100% partners with our borrowers, but we both have the same vested interest. And if a deal starts going sideways and we need to kind of step in and help recoup our investment and things like that, we can jump in, we can drive to a property. All your rentals are local, all of our loans are local. That's just what it is. It's very, very difficult. The institutional model, and again, it's a different business model. So I'm not hating on that model. It's just a different model. And it works great for some people. It might not work great for others. But in that particular model, it's an asset-based loan based on third-party appraisal, third-party inspection. So all of a sudden, it's they're creating like a key metrics, and they're putting together guidelines. It either fits the guideline or it doesn't fit the guideline. So nothing wrong with it. Just that's how it works. There's no way to scale. It's the same reason why the majority of the conventional and mortgage-backed loans are credit-driven. Because how else do you do something with scale? I mean, without going. I mean, we go to every single property, we meet every single borrower. We're involved in every one of the projects to make sure we typically won't take on a project even if it's really good from a borrower that we don't think is going to make money on the flip.
Right. Yeah, no, we totally agree. And we've been in a few masterminds together where we've discussed with other people about buying properties nationwide, and that's their business model. And sure, there's certain things that work, large scale apartment buildings nationwide, or it's something that works because you can implement a whole system and be there in one place and have an operator. Versus us, toilet clogs today, I know that between all of our guys or myself, we got to go out there and do it. It's done. I don't have to sweat about it. It's not across the country.
I'm not saying you can't. Yeah, you couldn't create a business model set up like that, but it's challenging. I mean, think about all the challenges that you've individually done on a rental or a flip or a wholesale. I mean, that challenge gets multiplied if it's not in your market area. You don't have the resources. You don't have the ability to get there quickly. You just don't know the area or the rules or whatever.
Right. Well, I think we talked enough about the ins and outs of the business. Let's talk. You got to have one guy, and I know you got a bunch of stories. You guys done a lot of loans. Give me your craziest. You got a crazy loan story that you could share with everyone?
I got lots of crazy.
Let's hear one.
I'm trying to think of a loan story we haven't told before.
Well, I've heard a lot, but let's hear a good one.
Do you hear the house that burned down that the insurance company didn't pay out the claim?
Oh yeah, and then you guys have to fight it. Give one quick synopsis of the story.
Yeah. So quick, funny. Not funny. It was serious. I mean, I guess it's funny kind of going back because it pretty much recouped everything. But long story short, borrower allegedly burnt a house down for insurance money or got burnt down from somebody else. We don't know the actual.
Telling the story because I'm a fireman. That's what you're trying to do here.
That's good. I'm glad we're talking about this story. And there was no what's that called? A fire marshal report? Is that the term?
No. Yeah, there was no fire inspector report.
Yeah, there's no. Because the fire inspector knew that there was a lot on the line because it was just a very expensive $1 million plus house.
Right.
And they didn't have enough, knowledge or info either way. So they just didn't write a report, even though they got a lot of pressure from it. So long story short, I'm not sure if it was arson, not sure exactly what happened, if who did it, but a house burned down. The insurance company never got closure with it because the fire inspector marshal report never came out. And we're like, great, well, not great, but the house burned down. We need to get we're a lost payee and the mortgagee. We need to get paid out, and they denied our claims, stating, well, we can't pay it out because we don't have a report, so we don't know what happened.
Right. So I'm assuming to go back a step, the guy burns a house down, the bar or whoever it is, house burns down, but nobody's paying interest, and that's how you guys make your money. And this whole time, this is going on for a few years. I'm assuming it takes a while to get through.
Close to that, because you got to go through the foreclosure process, then you got to.
So not only is the investor money standing out, your money's standing out, you guys aren't getting paid on this thing the whole time.
That's right. Whew. So, and keep in mind, it was $1 million loan. So,
and the insurance didn't want to pay it.
The insurance company, when you get to a claim, listen, if you have some water damage in your basement, the insurance adjuster or whoever going to write you a check for $8,000, call it a day and be like, go on your way, no big deal. But it's $1 million. So they made a business decision of like, listen, we don't have closure to this. We're not sure what happened. We're not paying out this claim. And our attorneys advised us that we would have to go sue them to try to demand them to pay, and yada, yada, yada. Months later, years later, we had to, fly out of state to where they were located in Utah, and we had to go sue them and fight them to try to get a claim. And it all ended up working out. We foreclosed on the property. We sold the lot for a lot of money.
Right.
And we went after them for the difference. And, can't say we got 100% of all the interest for 2 years, but like
everybody,
the majority of it was paid back. So interesting story. But we've done over 2,000 loans. Right. So we've seen a lot of stories. I've got different stories I've got a bunch of stories on fire damage, and lots of stories about people that this is the most interesting how this ever happens in the 7 multiple times. People sell properties and then they convince the title company that they don't owe us any money, that we don't lien against the property, even though there's a recorded lien.
Right.
They're like, oh, we got to get a payoff from hard money bankers. I already paid off the hard money bankers. We don't owe them anything. And some of these bars it wasn't like they were in like bad standing or whatever.
Right.
Like, so next thing you know, they don't pay us off. And obviously we catch on to that when they stop making payments, then we do some due diligence on it, then we realize the house had recently sold.
Right.
And then just like anything else, you go foreclose on it, and you're still a lien holder. So just some odd stuff you've seen lots of stuff too.
But all that stuff you catch because you guys have good systems in place, and you have the ability to know what's going on inside your business. And
fair enough. Yeah.
So all that. So
I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody has any questions, we're going to talk for a few more minutes. Feel free to post them up there. We got to look off camera to check them out if you have any questions. So other than that, we're in the end of 2018 essentially. We're in December almost. 2019 is coming up. What do you see as the number one thing you should? And we're going to go off topic here a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think the best way to set a goal for 2019 for somebody that wants to get involved, whether it's real estate or they want to do hard money loans on themselves? Like, what's the best way to get started or set a goal for 2019 to make that leap to start what they want to do?
So set the goal or execute or implement on the goal?
I think
just the goal setting itself.
Sure, you need to do all of them, but if you don't ever set that goal, you can't do anything.
So goal setting to me actually is very easy, because you just kind of set your dream out in the future and then you work your way back. Year to year, maybe it's a decade out, and then you figure out, okay, well, if I want to be here in 10 years, up here in 10 years, where do I need to be in 5 years? And if I want to be here in 5 years, where do I need to be? 3 or 2 or 1? Right. And then you can bring it all the way back to 2.5 weeks or a week. And let me tell you, like, this kind of sounds crazy, but if you follow kind of that formula and you put the goals in place and then you break it down of what you need to do today, it could be like, hey, I need to send out 100 mailers by the end of the week, and I can own 100 properties or 1,000 properties within the next 10 years, because you break it all back. So goal setting's always kind of been pretty easy to obtain because of that. And I've always just haven't set goals too big, because, if you put it on paper, it's real. Like, it has to be. Like, it has to accomplish. So it's not like, hey, I'm going to have $50 million, because if I want $50 million, I could probably put that on a goal sheet and work my way back. So you don't, like, it's too big. It's not something you can fathom. So it's like, you almost, if you're starting out in real estate, it could be like, hey, I want to flip 5 properties this year, 10 properties next year. Right. Like, you put something in place that's like, not that it's realistic, but something that, like, you can wrap your brain around. Someone's like, hey, are you going to make $50 million in the next 2 years? Right. Like, it doesn't, it seems too, like, outlandish crazy. So you work your way backwards. So you don't follow the methodology of, say, Grant Cardone, where it's like 10x everything, because if you come up short, you still got that. I like that, but I like that, and you can do that. But, like, for instance, like, anyone could be filthy wealthy in 20, 30, 40 years from now. But that's a long period of time. I want to break it down to like, cool, 10 years from now, I'll be in my late 40s. 10 years, this is where I want to live. This is a car I want to drive. This is the business size I want. And then you break that down. Like you do something that like you can wrap your brain around,
right,
and not something just absolutely ridiculous. So, if the answer is, hey, I want to buy 10 rentals before the end of next year, like that's very, very easy to accomplish. So if I want to buy 10 rentals in the next 12 months, okay, what does that equate to? That means I almost have to buy a rental every month.
Right.
So cool, to buy a rental, how many, where am I going to get my leads from? Am I going to go to auction? Am I going to go hit up wholesalers? Am I going to do direct mail? Am I going to try to do some PPC and some online marketing stuff? Okay, let me research each one of those individual ones. Let me figure out what I'm the most comfortable with.
Right.
Because, hey, if you don't have $1 at all, you can't really go to the auction because you're not going to put it in the deposit.
Exactly.
If you're scared to go door knocking and you're scared to talk to people and do direct mail, you might not be able to, get direct seller leads. You might have to work for a wholesaler. So you got to identify who you are and what you want to determine that. And there's a lot of things I'm not willing to do, and there's a lot of things I am willing to do. So I set my goals based on the stuff that I know that I'm comfortable doing.
Makes a lot of sense. So yeah, hopefully everyone can take some of that away and start setting goals for 2019, whether it's personally, business, anything. You want a lifestyle change personally, it could be that too. We do it a lot inside of our business, setting goals. We just laid out a budget. I don't think a lot of people in business take time to say, okay, 2019 is coming, especially in small businesses. Okay, let's budget out 2019, and that's how we work out our goals.
You got it.
Yeah.
You have to have all that stuff. I mean, you need financial reporting inside your business every day.
Right.
It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter if you're a one-man operation. If you're a one-man operation, guess what? You have 10 hats that you get, 10 roles that you're playing every day.
You have a lot of work to do.
That's what it is. And you need to start at the top. Everyone's working on the bottom end stuff, the one-off individual transactional stuff inside each individual property. You need to think way bigger than that and spending your time. I'm not saying you can't do those things. If a toilet leaks, someone's got to do it. So I'm not saying you can't do that, but you've got to also be doing, record keeping, CFO job, everything.
Yeah, I was going to close out, but I think you bring up a really, really good point. It's very, very easy, and we all fall victim to this, or not victim, whatever the best word is for it, of doing the busy work stuff and forgetting about the high level stuff. The reason you started was because you had this high level picture and you had this great idea and you started it and you did it. And it's so easy to go down to the lowest level and be like, okay, I got to go. For us, it's going to change locks, going to make sure rent's coming in, it's all the low level stuff. Whereas you still need to keep your eye on the big picture. And for you, it might be, okay, well, if I'm doing loans every day, you could easily just sit back and write loans every day and forget about having to do your next level marketing stuff or whatever, and continue to grow your company.
I'd be successful, but it would be short term. And then it's the same thing with, like, if you ever heard like the marketing ladder. It's, hey, I need business, right? I have no business. I need a business. I'm gonna market. It's like, yeah, I got business. And then you stop marketing, and then the business is great, and then it completely done. So you got to start over. You just continue to do things over. So the biggest hack related to the transactional stuff versus like the high level business stuff is the high level business stuff comes first. So guess what? That happens in the morning. That happens the first thing. You're not changing that lock until after you do your business stuff. So the easiest way to do it is time block it. Between 9 and 12 or 9 and 1, you do your high level business stuff. Between 12 and 5, you do your transactional or inside the business type of stuff. It's the 50-50 rule. That's the easiest way to look at it, but you at least have to do about 50% of your time on the business side.
Jason makes it sound so easy. My brain doesn't work like that. So it's every day's business, every day's transactional stuff. Luckily, my business partner does all the high level stuff in the morning, and we go out and do transactional stuff in the afternoon. Some people's
What do you do in the morning?
Me, God, my mind's always going a million miles a minute. I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, focus. I need to meditate a little more. But either way, thanks for taking the time, allowing me to come down to your office and talk to you.
Sure.
How can people get a hold of you, and if you're looking for loans or just want to talk and say hi?
Yeah, reach out, hardmoneybankers.com. A lot of really good info and a few thousand pages of content and free tools and free software. Pretty much everything we have at Hard Money Bankers is free stuff to help you grow as a real estate professional. And hopefully along the line, if you trust us, I'd be happy to, you trust us, you like us, happy to try to do a loan for you. If it works out, you can email me too at jason@hardmoneybankers.com. That's typically the easiest way to communicate back and forth quickly.
So thank you, Jason. You guys are looking for a loan, or if you're thinking about getting into real estate and don't know where to begin, Jason's a great contact. Ian from Equity Warehouse, you know where to find us. Next week, we'll be talking to Andrew Tucker. We're going to go out to one of his job sites. He does demolition, and it should be pretty cool because a lot of people forget how important demolition is on the job site.
We use Andrew as well.
Yep. All right, guys, we'll see you. If you end this video, you will be able to choose.